courage and fear is what is on display every time we look at the example of Jesus in opposition to the example of those priests and high priests, scribes and Pharisees who opposed Jesus in the scriptures. We see this here, Jesus giving a parable which clearly incriminates the scribes and the Pharisees, those who are rejecting Jesus. It clearly incriminates them. And so Jesus speaks, first of all, we have to notice that Jesus speaks the truth. And when he speaks the truth, he is not afraid. Which is very interesting because he must have known that speaking the truth would get him in trouble, maybe even get him killed. And yet he speaks the truth unafraid. Whereas look at the Pharisees, the scribes, those opposing Jesus. They want to seize him and arrest him. They believe that's what's right. That is their truth. And yet, they are afraid. They are afraid of what? They are afraid of the consequences of what they may do. They are afraid of the crowds. So they left him and went away. See, this is the difference between the one who is deeply rooted in truth to the point of being willing to sacrifice everything for it, as opposed to the ones who are simply trying to create their own truth, which is always dependent on the opinions of others, the acceptance of others, the support of others, or in other words, their truth, which is not genuine truth, is always going to be limited by this world, by the struggles and influence of this world. And this is what we see over and over again. The ones who are truly free, in other words, are those who believe in God so much that they are freed from the constraints of fear that is tied to the relations in this world. You know, so often I think to myself about people who are really trying hard to make their way up the ladder in this world, whether it's in the world of business or even church. How unfree they are, because they are always thinking, how can I influence people? How can I make sure that they vote for me, they like me, they support me? See, that is not freedom. Why are they so constrained? It's because their primary focus is on advancing their own career, their own ideology, advancing themselves, in short. But when we are so committed to the truth of Jesus Christ that we and our ideas move into the background, they're no longer the primary focus of our life. What is the focus is that the truth be accepted and spoken. See, because then my focus is on God, who is the truth. We see this in Jesus, we see it in his followers, we see it in today's saints, in Justin Martyr. You know, Justin Martyr was one of the great philosophers of the early days. He had many schools that he opened of debate and thinking and philosophizing. He was no dummy. But he could have easily created a system where he somehow would have argued his way out of trouble. And yet he didn't. When he was called to go before the tribunal and was plainly asked, "Are you a Christian? Do you aspire to these teachings about Jesus?" he said unapologetically, "Yes, I am, and yes, I do." Completely free. See? He didn't need to defend himself, even though he had every ability as a speaker, as a philosopher, to defend himself. He did not. Because it wasn't about him anymore. It was about the one who is truth. What is philosophy? It is a search for wisdom, for truth. We as followers of Jesus are called to find this kind of freedom, which is only rooted in the truth, in Jesus, in His teaching. You see, if I believe it with all my heart and proclaim it with all my ability, without counting the cost, or in other words, without worrying about what the world will say, what others will think about me, because it doesn't matter. See, at the end of the day, it does not matter what the world thinks, what others think. What matters is that we belong to God, and He is the only one who sets us free. And we live in that freedom only in as much as we live in Him. So I ask for that grace for all of us, the grace of true freedom, which can only be found in following Jesus, in accepting His truth, and in preaching it unapologetically. Amen. Amen.